Hi, romance readers. I am Liz Donatelli. Welcome to Reader Seeks Romance, the #1 romance novel talk show on YouTube. Debut author Noué Kirwan joins me to discuss her contemporary romance, Long Past Summer. And Noué shares her reading and writing preferences in Quickies Q&A. Enjoy, and be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Welcome to Reader Seeks Romance, Noué.
Hi.
Congratulations on the release of your debut contemporary romance, Long Past Summer.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited.
The praise for your debut is impressive. You received positive reviews from QUICKIES, Library Journal, and a starred review from Publishers Weekly. And USA Today bestselling author Naima Simone says that Long Past Summer is more than a beautiful, scrappy, hard-won second chance romance. It's a story of the real, tangled, and sometimes painful relationships of family, lovers, and friendships. USA Today bestselling author Farah Roshan says, it is rare to find a romance that spans decades, yet still leaves you craving more. Long Past Summer is that romance. Noué Kirwan's exquisitely written debut left me breathless. And a sizzling love story you won't want to put down from Essence magazine. How does that feel?
It feels really good. It felt really good. I have to say, I can't pretend. I'm a fan of Naima. I'm a fan of Farah. So it was, kind of amazing to get that kind of feedback. I've been reading Essence since I was a little girl. It's, the Black women's magazine of record it since, forever. And so, once upon a time I dreamt of being in Essence, but never in this way. And so it's been kind of amazing.
You're a New Yorker. You're a native New Yorker. So I feel like native New Yorkers like me maybe approach it like, oh, I can't handle this praise. It makes me so anxious to now have to live up to that praise moving forward with each new book. So do you find this anxiety producing to receive so much wonderful praise and endorsements your first time out?
Yeah, I have to admit, yeah, it didn't come right away. And I told my friend, I was like, the shelf life on all the effusive praise is about 24 hours before you're like, oh my God, either it's not true. I don't know. They read a different book, or how are you going to do it again? Something that's going to sit on your shoulder and kind of talk to you. They're all going to laugh at you. They're all going to laugh at you.
Look, it's not too late.
So Long Past Summer is a second chance romance about a young woman named Michaela who's always wanted to move to the big city and make it as a lawyer. And right before she goes off to college, she meets a boy and they kind of fall in love, but she doesn't want to be sidetracked from her dream of going away to college and, becoming a lawyer. And so they kind of break up and she kind of ghosts him. And then 20 years later, he's back, and all the mixed up feelings from that are come back with him, and they're forced to work together because he is her client. Him and his company end up being her client. So she has to be in his presence all the time.
Where were you and what were you doing when the idea for Long Past Summer took root in your mind?
I was at my mom's house
Oh,
and I was watching a movie, and it was about two girls who fall out right before they go to college.
okay.
And I think that was the first thing that I was like, wow, that's interesting. That's a cool idea. Let me play with that a little bit. And what would they fall out about? And that sort of thing. And it was always going to be a romance, but I didn't know how that was going to work.
Okay. That's interesting that it started with this relationship between two women, and
Yes.
went from there.
There are other elements that came into it that I'd always kind of been sitting on, and I think
Yeah.
they kind of came into it too, because like I had like a song about a woman who got left behind, a song by Aretha Franklin about being left behind.
Yeah.
And I thought, like, that's the classic story about the girl who's left behind. Maybe she loses her virginity to this guy and then he just disappears or whatever and ghosts her.
Mhm.
And I was like, how would that be if it was like gender swap? So like those other things kind of came all together. Everything
Right.
came together at the same time and the light bulb went.
Even if I hadn't known you were a Virgo from your bio, I would have guessed. You ambitiously and successfully wrote a second chance love triangle romance with dual timelines. Did you set out to go big for your debut, or like what prompted those particular creative decisions?
In some respects, I'm the most Virgo, and then in some respects, I'm the least Virgo. So in this instance, it's kind of like you don't know what you don't know. So I didn't know that I was like that this was going to be difficult, and I didn't know that it would be kind of an undertaking. I just kind of went where the story was taking me, and like I said, because the very origin of the story actually kind of came from them being young and that story happening. When I took it to my critique partners, they actually were the kind of the ones that were like, are you writing YA? Like, what's, because they're all originally, all there was like a sort of framing device
Mm-hmm.
of the current time. So they were adults as like a framing device for the story.
Right.
And then they said, well, if this story is not about her as a teenager, you need to give more time to her as an adult. And next thing I knew, I was writing a dual timeline.
Ah, okay. Actually, love triangle you don't see as much anymore in adult
People
romance.
like it. Yeah.
So I was like, wow, love triangle. And to me, second chance, I've said this time and time again to authors. I give them all the credit in the world because you have to write two romances. You have to make the reader believe they were in love once and they deserve to be in love again. So I was like, oh my God, and the dual timeline. So I was very impressed. I was like, this is a brave author and I need to read. And yeah, honestly, and I believe I read it was a Goodreads review that someone said that they were so impressed that this was your debut because the writing was everything was so well crafted. And I have to agree. I was like, wow, like this is a fantastic like debut. There's like experience behind this.
I
Yeah.
appreciate it. I have heard a couple people say, this is like they were surprised that I was a debut. And I didn't understand it because, like I said, you don't really know what you don't know initially.
Right.
And I didn't know anything. So I was just telling the story that was kind of like in my brain, like
Right.
taking up space. And it was only as it like continued that I was like, oh, this is kind of an undertaking because I have to kind of make these chapters mirror each other and that sort of
Right.
thing. And it was like at first I wasn't even gonna try to do it. I was just like,
Okay.
you know what? I'm gonna just write and see where it goes. But then after a while, it started to flow, and there started to be like a like conversation between
Mm-hmm.
the present chapter and the past chapter in such a
Yeah.
way. And I, as a Virgo, it shames me to say it was not deliberate. It was not planned.
What was the biggest challenge in bringing Michaela and Cameron back together on the page in their second chance romance journey?
I think that it was going all the way through it, kind of just showing that they were in love, like that
Mm-hmm.
that they deserved the second chance, that
Yeah.
she deserved this second chance, because
Right.
it's not, which would have made it even that, I think that would have been like the next level of complication if I'd made it dual POV, but it's only one POV. So
I was going to actually ask, because I was going to say, you did single POV, and I was thinking, well, she had to give herself a break, because if it would have been, if it would have been dual, I think you probably would, you might have lost your mind.
Yes,
So,
I agree.
there is a scene set at Yankee Stadium, which I
Mhm.
appreciated. I'm originally from the
Mhm.
Bronx. In our house, we had to be Yankees fans. There was really
Of
there was
course.
Mets. No, you don't do
No,
Mets and Jets. It's
no.
Yankees and Giants. Did you grow up going to games?
I didn't go to as many games as I would like, but my dad is a diehard
Mm-hmm.
Yankees fan,
Yeah.
and I'm from the Grand Concourse, and
Oh,
he's
yes. Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah.
there was a point in time where literally the lights from the stadium
Yes.
shone into my house on game nights. So
Yep.
I, like the Yankees are very pivotal to me. Like
Yeah.
I read a romance novel at one point, and I'm happy to say it was after I wrote my book, not before, but
Okay.
where that person was a Mets fan, and the love interest was a Yankees fan. That was a point of contention between the two of them, and she was insisted that he should respect her Mets fandom, and I was just like, I don't know if I can finish this book.
It's funny that fandom is noteworthy enough to make its way into romance novels as a conflict.
Yeah, I mean that's what I mean. I said it in my book. I was like, it's like being in an interfaith marriage.
Yes.
Like
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. That is absolutely yes.
one of my favorite stories of my parents when they were dating. Um, my dad took my mom to a Yankees game, but my mom's from Massachusetts, so she was a Red Sox fan, and it was a Red Sox versus Yankees game. I mean, like ultimate blood feud, right? And so they're there, and I guess the Red Sox must have scored a hit or something, and she jumped up and she was like, "Yay, Red Sox!" And my dad grabs her and pulls her down. He's like, "Don't do that! You're trying to get us killed."
That is no joke. That's funny. Do you think you would write a romance in the future with a Boston Red Sox fan and a Yankees fan getting together?
I mean, that would be a lot of fun.
I think you might have like a little seedling for a future romance.
You might be right. You might be right.
Your book cover features a gorgeous illustration of Michaela. And I was wondering, how involved did your publisher, Harlequin HQ, involve you in the process? Did you have any input? Did they request input?
Yeah, actually, they were really nice about that. And I understand that from a lot of people that that can go in either way. Like you can be like, here's your cover, and that's it. And what happened with us was that they asked, you know, kind of what were like my drop dead things, like that I just needed. And I
Right.
and I was like, okay, well, I'd rather it not be both of them on the cover, although both of them, says more
Yeah.
obviously, oh, this is a romance, but it was important to me. It's Michaela's story, so Michaela's on the cover. It was important to me that Michaela was like a dark-skinned Black woman because that's what she is in the book, and I know, and sometimes that can get a little like muddled, between the art and the book itself,
Yes.
like the description in the book. So I told them that that was another big thing. Like, and otherwise I wasn't super picky about it, and they kind of fell in love with it and brought it to me, and
Yeah.
you know.
I thought it was interesting that the title is so prominent too.
So that was actually, now that you're saying that, that was another one of the things that I'd kind of asked for, because I'd asked for an illustrated cover as opposed to a photorealistic cover,
Yeah.
and I asked for really prominent lettering, and that could have gone any, either way, but
Right.
they were really receptive to the
Good.
little things that I asked for. The reason I didn't want a photorealistic cover is because I always find it a little too prescriptive. Like when you have very clear pictures of what the person's supposed to look like on the cover, I feel like it kind of messes with what when you give the description, like who you're picturing in your mind, and I'd rather you be able to picture whomever. So I said that I wanted it to be illustrated, even though technically, since it's a contemporary, it's not really a rom-com, but I thought with just her on the cover, you don't get, it's not like you're misled. Like it's
Right.
not that you don't really think it's a rom-com. I'm not any kind of like visual arts like professional, so I'm just really happy that they listened to me, because they might have
Yeah.
been like, none of that works.
I love it. I'm glad that they included you in the process. And the more authors I speak to, the more I'm hearing that their input is sought by the publisher, which I'm glad to hear. So what's one thing that you learned with the release of your debut, either from a publishing perspective or writing?
Well, again, I didn't know anything, so it's been like a continual like
Mhm.
learning like experience for me, from straight from like querying agents to like getting, a submission out and that sort of thing. I think I think it might be just how quickly, like really paying attention to how quickly like a lot of authors write. Like I used to read a lot of literary fiction, and if a literary author writes a book every 3 or 4 years, that's like
Yeah.
you're practically like, oh my God, they're prolific. Romance authors, they may have two books that come out in a single year, and I'm just like, how do you do that?
So how long did it take you to write Long Past Summer?
So technically, it took me 2 years to write it,
Okay.
but then I had another year after it. Like when I started like sending it out, and I was still I continued to like tinker with it, and then
Right.
the time that after I submitted it, and the editors, and all that
Mhm.
stuff. So I think from like brain spark to book in hand, I think it was about maybe 3.5 years.
That sounds right to me as far as first novels.
Yeah.
Usually the
Mhm.
first one takes a few years between the writing and the publishing journey and all that. And then things speed up. Yes.
Significantly.
Yes. Yes. What are you currently reading?
I am currently reading As Seen on TV by Meredith Shore, and I know Meredith, so I'm like loving it, and I can't wait to like tell her.
What is the last book you read?
The book before that I finished another person who's in my debut group, because I've like been going through a period. So I read How to Fake It in Hollywood by Ava Wilder.
Oh,
Love that too. That was awesome too. So yeah, and I
nice.
just finished that. Yeah.
Which book is on your to be read pile?
Oh my gosh. So I've got a couple books that are on. Well,
Okay.
I've got more than a couple books.
I'm sure. I'm sure you do.
Jasmine Guillory's new Drunken Love is on my TBR.
Okay.
I am waiting for, it's on hold, but I'm waiting for Dead Romantics to come. I'm at, the library. My friend, Nikki Payne, it hasn't come out yet. Nikki Payne's book, Pride and Protest. That's like, I can't wait for that to come out. Oh, and Love on the Brain, Allie Hazelwood's new book.
Who is your top auto by romance author?
Jasmine's one. Emily Henry's one, Alicia Rye's one, Allie is becoming one. Those are the ones that it's like, as soon as I know they're coming, I just like pre-order.
Which is the better compliment from a reader? You write compelling romance protagonists, or you write compelling romantic conflict?
The conflict, if it was compelling, I think that to me is the better compliment.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is your romance writing superpower?
Romance writing. I've been told I set the scene well.
Mm-hmm.
So that I guess that would be my superpower. I'm not positive, but like that's what I've been told. Like that I can put you there.
Yes, I would say that is a strength. Yes. Which is more difficult for you to write? The opening line of a novel or the very last line?
opening, definitely. They come to me, but they're not like, when I read books and I see that opening line, they're always so clever and they're so, snappy, and they pull you right in. And I just have no facility for that. Like, I am not able to like do that. You have to stick with me for at least a paragraph or a page before you're like, okay. Some people say, I have to open the book and the first line's got to grab me. I'm like, well, then you're not buying my book.
Gotcha. What are you currently working on?
So I don't know how much my editor would be happy with me like divulging, but okay. I'm working on I'm not even sure what the tropes are for it yet. Definitely there are tropes, but I'm not sure what it is. I mean, it might be kind of like a forced proximity romance.
Okay.
But I'll say this, it's international.
Ooh la la.
I am intrigued by that. So, international forced proximity.
Yeah.
Does it feature any characters from Long Past Summer, or is this totally
No, it's a standalone.
Okay. Interesting. So, new characters. Okay. So, there would be some travel?
Yes.
Okay. So, forced proximity, I'm guessing, would relate to the traveling.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. And that will be coming out from Harlequin?
Yes, that will be coming out from HQN. Next year, we hope.
Okay, 2023 is the idea.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I am intrigued. Okay. Thank you so much, Noué, for joining me here on Reader Seeks Romance. It has been an absolute delight.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure being here.